Hey everybody, this is Mac, and we are going to do some more dividing fractions, dividing exponents, but this time we're going to have negative exponents, and we got to figure out how we're going to deal with these. Now, there's a few ways we can deal with this, okay? So, let's just start right here. The easy part, oh, by the way, this is version C. This is going to work a lot better if you watch version A and version B. And so if you go to maxtutorials.com, I've got other resources there for you to look at. And obviously, if you can like this video and comment, let me know how this is working for you. I'd really appreciate that, okay? So now, when I'm looking at this one, I have to figure out, well, how am I going to do this? That's just going to be a 6 on top. That's pretty easy. I think it works better, me personally, if you just go ahead and do the flipping of the negative exponents first. And then when you do that, you realize, oh, that's a 6 on top. When I multiply, I add, and I'm done, okay? Because really what this would be an x to the negative 2, and we're dividing minus 3. Add a line, change the sign, equals x to the negative 5, which becomes an x to the 5th on bottom. And so I just feel like it works a little bit better if you do the flipping first, okay? Oh dear, this one has powers in here. I didn't realize that. I haven't taught you how powers work, so this is going to be a bit of a problem. What I'm going to recommend you do maybe is don't do this worksheet until you've seen me do exponents to a power, and that's the next video that comes, and then maybe come back to C, and this really wraps everything up, okay? But I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to pretend like you do know it because I do have the worksheet right here, okay? It's a little bit out of order, I'm warning you. All right, so now when you have something to the third power and it's in parentheses, what it means is you do everything to the third power. That'll go to the third power, and that will go to the third power. So what's 5 to the third power? 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. Now, when you do a power to an exponent, you do a power to an exponent, now is when you multiply. You almost want to think about it. If you're adding, this is the equation, and here's the power. Let me take it. Yeah, okay. So the equation is adding. You just copy the powers. If you're multiplying, you add the powers. If you're doing a power, you multiply. Okay, it's kind of a weird thing. You kind of go like one step below. And so I'm going to divide that by 25a to the 4th. Now, 125 divided by 25 is a 5. And I'm just going to subtract right here. I'm going to get a squared. So if you didn't know the power yet, that's in the next video. All right, so number 3, let's keep this train going here, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go 24 divided by 6, and that's going to give me a 4. And now I'm going to flip my y up. So I'm going to get y to the 7, y squared. And when I do that, I know when I multiply, I just add, and I get my 9, okay? 4, let's do this, and the power, remember I have to do the number, and I have to do the exponent. So that's going to give me 4c. When we do powers, we multiply. That's going to be a negative 6 over c squared. If I move and I flip, now I could go negative 6 minus 2, and I get a negative 8 and flip it below, but I think it's a little easier for us if we do this. 4 over c squared c6. And then I'm just going to get c to the 8, and that's my final answer. Number 5, okay? 30 divided by 5 is 6. I have my m's, subtract, keep it on the side with the bigger number, which in this case is going to be on the bottom. Okay? Number 6. Now, let's say you got to this and you're like, wait, power to a power. Wait, I haven't seen that video. What the heck? I don't know what I'm doing. You could also do this. Watch this. This one's longer, but 4p cubed times 4p cubed. Okay, that's all squared means, is that we're multiplying it by itself over 8p to the 4th, okay? That equals, what's 4 times 4? 16. What's p cubed times p cubed? P to the 6 over 8p to the 4. So look, I got 16p to the 6. What would happen if I squared 16? What would happen if I squared p to the third doing the method where I said you multiply p to the 6? Okay? Anyways, I'll just keep going here. 16 divided by 8 is 2, and when I subtract, I get p2 on top. All right? So again, I could actually solve this without doing the power, but let's learn the powers. Okay? I got to power that. I've got to power that. And I've got to power that. So whenever you have a parenthesis with an exponent, you got to do the exponent to everything inside. 3 squared is 9. Y squared to the squared, you multiply. I'm not adding, I'm multiplying to get to the 4. Y cubed to the second, I'm multiplying to make that a 6. Over 9xy squared. Well, the 9's cancel out, and I'm left with x3 on top and y4 on top because I just subtracted them. Okay? 18. I'm just gonna move everybody to the correct side. I'm gonna do my 4 first and just do my division. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write r squared r1, moving the r to the bottom. And I'm gonna keep my s down there, and I'm gonna keep my s to the 5th up there. That's gonna turn into 4s to the 5th. That looks like 5 to my s's to 5's. Why do they do that? Don't use s's in word problems. And that's gonna become r cubed s. Now when I do the subtraction, 4, the r cubed stays down. I have 5 s's on top, 1 on the bottom. That's going to leave me with 4 s's on top. That's an s, not a 5. Ugh, hate that. Here we go, 9. Let's square everybody. Let's square him. Let's square him. Let's square him. It's 2 squared is 4. A cubed squared is a to the 6 because you multiply. B to the negative 2 times 2 is going to be b to the negative 4. All over 4ab to the negative 1. Now, let's just get everybody to the right side. They cancel out. I'm just going to leave. I know I can do my a's right now, but I'm going to be very disciplined and not. All I did was flip the b's. That's the only thing I did on that. Well, I cancel out the 4's. But I just flipped the b's. Now, I'm going to do my subtraction. I have 6 A's on top, 1 on bottom. I'm left with 5 on top. I have 4 B's on the bottom, 1 on top. I'm left with 3 B's on the bottom. Okay, and that's my answer. Number 10, same thing. 28 divided by 7 is 4. And I'm just going to write everything on the correct side. T to the 6, T squared, my U3 on bottom, and my U to the negative 2, I'm going to write there. It almost looks like a W. I always like to put a tail so it doesn't look like a V. So anyways, I'm going to get a 4t to the 6 over t squared. What's u3 times u2? U to the 5. Okay, and so now I just noticed that I have to subtract my t's, and that's going to become 4t to the 4th over u to the 5. All right, hang in there, guys. You're doing great. Number 11, I've got to square everybody in here. So 4 squared is 16. M to the 3rd to the 2nd. We multiply that, and we get 6. N to the negative 2 squared, we multiply that, and we get n to the negative 4 over 2m4n. All right? And so when we do that, 16 divided by 2 is 8. 6 on top, 4 on bottom on my m's, so I'm left with 2 on top. Ooh, my n, I really got to move that to the bottom side. I really should have done that earlier. So I have my n already from there, and I'm going to have my n to the 4, and that's going to become 8m squared over n to the 5th. All right, let's keep going. Ooh, wow, we're just going to power all of these. All right, well, I'm teaching you powers a little bit ahead of time. That's all right. Sorry to go a little bit out of order here. Okay, let's square them all. Let's square the 3, and I'm going to get 9p to the negative 4q to the 8 over 3q to the 3. I do the little tail so it doesn't look like a 9. Now let me get everybody to the correct side. Whoops, what am I hitting there? Back to here. Sorry about that. All righty now. So I'm going to get 9. The p's got to go under, doesn't it? 9q. Oh, they put a 9 and a q next to each other. I hate that. 3p to the 4th, q to the 3rd. Hey, buddy, get your face out of the blanket and you won't pant so much. There you go. Sorry, my dog was Breathing weird. Okay, so 9 divided by 3 is a 3 on top. Now, my p is on the bottom. And now I'm left with my q's right here, if you notice. I'm going to subtract them, keep them on the side with the bigger, which is going to be right there. Okay? Let's keep going. So now if I have to cube this, I have to cube that, I have to cube that, and I have to cube that. What's 2 cubed? Hopefully you've memorized that as 8. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Now, I multiply the exponents whenever I have a power to a power. That's going to become r to the 6, s to the 9. Okay, 4r5s squared. So what's 8 divided by 4? You guessed it, that's 2. Subtract my r's, more is on top, so it's an r to the 1 on top. S to the 9 over s squared, that's going to become an s to the 7th power. All right, let's go to number 14. Let's square all of these. That's going to become 25x to the 4th, y to the negative 2. Remember, we multiply the exponents when that happens. 25xy cubed. I'm just going to kill these 25s right now, if you don't mind. Okay, and that's going to leave me with x to the 4 on top, x, y cubed, and I'm going to move my y squared down, which leaves me with, I'm going to do my x's right now, x to the 4, and my x on the bottom is going to leave me with an x to the 3. I'm going to multiply my y's, which is y to the 5. Done. Okay, hopefully, what am I doing? I'm hitting all kinds of buttons today. Let's go on to number 15. Let's square all of these. We're really learning a lot, aren't we? 6 squared is 36. I'm going to multiply negative 1 and 2. That's going to give me a to the negative 2. b2 squared is b to the 4th power, all over 12b. I'm going to do my 12 and my 36, which gives me a 3. Now I'm going to do my letters. I'm going to move the a squared to the bottom. I'm going to have my b there. I'm going to have my b to the 4th on top. All I did was move the a squared to the bottom. And now I'm going to do the last part, which is 3a squared on bottom. I'm going to subtract my b's, where I'm going to be left with a b3 on top. Okay, going on to 16. I'm going to square all of these. 3 squared is 9. U to the 2nd squared is u to the 4th. I know it looks like I added them, but I didn't. I multiplied. I'm going to multiply my v's, which is v to the negative 6, over 9u v to the negative 1. I'm going to kill my 9's there if you don't mind. And I'm not going to do anything but flip my v's. Okay? And that's going to be a v on top and a v to the 6 on bottom. Now I can do my division. When I divide, I'm doing this on every problem now. I got to move my thumb. There we go. Here we go. I'm going to subtract my u's, which is going to give me a u to the 3 on top. And now I have to subtract my v's. There's more on the bottom, so I'm going to go v to the 5th on the bottom. Okay? Let's keep going. I got 4 more here to go. Stick with me. I have to square him. I got to square him. I got to square him or her. Okay, so 2 squared is going to be a 4. D to the 4th squared. When it's a power to a power, you multiply. So that's going to be d to the 8th power. And e to the negative 2 squared, multiply. That's e to the negative 4, all over 4d3. Goodbye, 4s. Okay, now I just want to flip them. So I'm going to go d8 over d3e4. All I did was move my e to the negative 4 down to the bottom and make them positive. Okay, that's an ugly e, but that's okay. You know what it is. Now I'm going to subtract these, and I'm going to be left with d to the 5 on top, because there's more on top, e to the 4 on bottom. Let's go on to the next one. I'm going to square the 5. I'm going to square the g to the negative 2. I'm going to square the h to the 3, which is going to leave me with 25 g to the negative 4 h6. Remember, when we power, we multiply. 25h. Goodbye, 25s. Which is going to leave me with, my g is going to be on the bottom, right? I'm just going to copy my h's, if you don't mind. And now I'm just going to subtract my h's. If I have 6 on top and 1 on bottom, I'm left with 5 on top, and I've got 4 g's on the bottom. Done. Okay, and that's my number 18. Let's go two more. 19. I'm going to square all of these. I like writing these lines. I hope you like doing those too. I think that would really help you. 4 squared is 16. K squared squared is k to the 4th. Remember, we multiplied. M cubed squared is going to be m to the multiply 6 over 8k 5m. Well, they're all positive. I don't need to flip anybody, so let's just do it. 16 over 8 is a 2. 5 on bottom, 4 on top. That's going to leave me 1 on the bottom. 6 on top, 1 on the bottom. I'm going to be left with 5 on top. I just subtracted, kept the side of the bigger one. All right. Now the last one, square the 3. Square the -1. Square the 4. Square the 2. And this is going to be left as a 9. 3 squared is 9. W to the -1 times 2 is going to be W to the -2. X to the what? To the 8th. Y to the 4 over, we're just going to copy 9x squared, y to the -1. Let's kill the 9s. Now, let's go ahead and flip everybody to the correct side. So I know that that W squared has to go to the bottom. Took care of him. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't cross it out. And I'm left with x to the 8, y to the 4 on top. Okay, I have my x squared there. And I also have a y to the 1 I've got to move on top. Now when I multiply, I'm going to get an x to the 8th, y to the 5th over w squared x squared. Now do you notice right here what I have? I have 8 x's on top and 2 x's on the bottom. So I subtract, I'm going to get 6 on top, boom, and boom. Boy, I tell you, if you understand how to do these, you really know how to handle your exponents. You're in great shape. Okay, now I do explain the powers in more detail. So again, if I kind of went out of order and that freaked you out, go to the powers, come back and try this sheet. Okay, and I apologize for that. But then if you do the power to a powers, you're going to be in great shape and you're going to be the pro on how to deal with exponents. All right, guys, see you on the next one.